What are we doing, Seth?
Africa is the only place in the world where black people can go and build Fortune 500 companies from scratch within 5 years. China took that same, mind state 25 years ago. China was no different from Africa 25 years ago. Go to China now. Look at Dubai, the Middle East. They just started 15 years ago. Go back to Africa.
Okay.
Whatever you're doing here, do it there.
That is the famous R&B singer Akon. Akon, as we all know, very famous guy, originally from Senegal, and he's been saying this for a very long time. For those of you that follow Akon, he's been a huge factor encouraging African Americans and a lot of people in the diaspora to go back and invest in Africa. It's a noble cause. It's fantastic. It's a brilliant idea. It's something I've always been, talking about. Because that Africa is ours originally. There's no dispute about that. Okay? Now, but the question is Africa ready? Is Africa really ready to contain all that migration, let's say now, to go back to Africa? And I know you'll be shocked about my answer. Yes, Africa is ready. But no, Africans are not ready. There's nothing wrong with Africa. Africa has and still is the richest continent on earth, period. Name it, from gold to what have you, to oil. We have all resources that can sustain, that can be maintained and retained forever. Africa is richly blessed. There's no argument. But Africans are not ready. Here is what I mean. First off, our leaders, any leader in Africa that sees his or herself ruling, do they really put African, their citizens, first? Do they? That's the question. In as much as countries in Africa are so blessed, look at Congo. They have gold. So many other countries like that. The gold that everybody is seeing as a big deal in Africa, just dig a little bit, you will find them there. And guess what? Some countries, they use it to stone each other. What are we doing, Seth? So when it comes to natural resources, we know that Africans have it in abundance. But the thing is, why are Africans poor? In the midst of gold, natural resources, that should be a blessing. That's why I said Africa has no issues. It's the Africans, the African leaders. When are we going to wake up and make that kind of Akon dream to be a reality? Because, like I always say, there is enough to go around. There has always been enough to go around. But why is it that poverty stinks in Africa? The poverty rate is off the roof because of the leaders, mismanagement, and what have you. And let me tell you this, Africans should stop selling their birthright. Stop selling out. Stop giving away your birthright to foreigners, to the Asians, to the Europeans, because we're still doing it even post-colonization. How can you explain where you allow foreign people to come to your country to dictate to you how you can manage your own natural resources? What are we doing, Seth? How do you explain that? Where you see officials that are supposed to protect you are against you. Why? Because of their selfish pocket, aligning with foreigners to dictate how natural resources should be resourced out of the country. They selfishly make money only for themselves to the detriment of the citizens. How are you going to explain that? Our leaders should be able to align their priorities and make their citizens first in everything, so that Africa can actually grow and not be relied upon foreigners for anything and everything. We have intellectuals. We have to believe in ourselves. We have to trust ourselves. We have to look inwards and bring the best out of us. But our African leaders are not doing that. So Akon, I agree with you that Africans and African Americans should go back and develop Africa as it is. But Africans are not loving themselves enough to make that happen. Look at the conflict in Sudan. The SAF and the RSF, two different factions, but they are brothers, killing each other on a daily basis because of selfish reasons. They are not putting their citizens first. Look at Somalia. Same thing. Burkina Faso is ruled, military rule. They had to take over through Ziku, to make things work. Still in conflict. Cameroon, look at that. France is the big, is it the boogeyman, I would call it, for Cameroon? Most resources of Cameroon, especially the central bank and all of that, is being managed by France. We keep selling our birthright. We are not ready to imbibe the culture and what it takes to be in leadership. Most of our leaders don't even have the ability to figure out how to manage so much resources. I remember there was a military president in Nigeria at some point, he said, we have so much money, we don't know what to do with it. What are we doing, sir? Of course, you should know what to do with it. It's supposed to be a blessing. So when you have leaders that are sarcastic enough, say things like that in public, what do you want the ordinary citizens to do? By the time we stop allowing foreign folks to dictate to you how to lie down on your bed, dictate to you how to sleep, how to wake up, what resources are supposed to go out and come in, then maybe something good can come in. Then, Akon, maybe that dream of African Americans can come true. A lot of African Americans are actually going back. Steve Harvey's, the big guys, he went to Ghana to find his roots. Don Lemon. A lot of people like that, they've gone back to their roots to find out. But can they actually live there in peace? Look at the security, maybe in Nigeria. There's no security. Then, if there's no security, how do you want to sleep with your two eyes closed? The kidnapping. Look at the stampede in Ibadan. It happened in Anambra. Now it happened in Abuja. Stampede. What is causing the stampede? Because some folks are trying to, share money or some resource just to alleviate poverty. Oh, wow. So if you share it today, how about tomorrow? How about saying, okay, we put infrastructures in place and get these people jobs, make them more responsible, make them more productive. How about that? Rather than giving them fish, why don't you just show them how to fish? How about that? And look at the result. Children in Ibadan, about over 35 of them lost their lives because of the stampede. In Abuja, it's still being counted. People dying because of poverty. Why? It shouldn't be that way. Look at Anambra, the same thing. What are we doing, sir? Until we stop selling our birthright and love each other first, put people's first, we have enough resources. How can you imagine in Nigeria, you hear somebody having billions in their account? One person. Of course, it's not your money. How did he get there? Now, Burkina Faso, for instance, to show you that it is very, very possible to make Africa and Africans enjoy their benefits, Burkina Faso has produced its first gold bar. When I mean gold, I don't mean gold chains or gold wristwatch. Gold, the bars itself. They have done with foreigners, the Europeans or whoever who has been exploiting them for decades, taking the bulls by the horn, and they are doing it by themselves. That is a good example of what I've been saying. Africa can do it. This gold is not just in Burkina Faso. Natural resources are in abundance everywhere in Africa. It's just the management that matters. If you want to make it work, it will work, period. So these are the things that Akon, I agree with you that we should go back to Africa. But I don't agree because Africans are not ready to make that dream a reality. Not just yet. And until that happens, hey, you got to do what you got to do to get your family and yourself a better life, wherever you see yourself. Akon, yeah, one day maybe I will see you, we can talk. You made so much money in another country. Duh. I know you're going back, and I know that Akon himself, is building a city in Senegal, which is fantastic. Hopefully he succeeds. Maybe one day he will tell us the bureaucracy. Do we like ourselves enough for such things to even happen? Black on black. Do we like ourselves enough? Because you know as it is, when a black man sees a fellow black man try to succeed, they give him the PhD. You know what PhD is, right? Oh, no, not that PhD. Pull him down. Black on blacks are very good at that. Why? How are you going to grow with that kind of mentality? It is time for us to change the mentality that we have and be united and make things work because it can work. Blacks are succeeding everywhere on earth. Look at South Africa, for instance. South Africans, I don't even know what Nigerians did to South Africa. The malice is just crazy. Why? Why should there be malice rather than us coming together and make Africa beautiful? Rather, we are wasting energy in hating each other. Hey, this is just my view. What do you think? What's your take on this one? Let me get your take on this one because this affects every one of us. And I would like to get your comments on this. All right, folks. That's my thought. Let me get yours. What are we doing, Seth?
What are we doing, Seth?